Hey everyone, I am Jaysinn616 and you wouldn't hear me say this often, but my name is Jason Allen and I suffer from depression and have glimpses of anxiety. I'm going to tell you a bit more about me. This is a very personal video and you might come across as me not being so fun-loving and happy with a smile on my face as per usual, because today is a very serious topic. And I'm going to open the doors and invite you into my world outside of streaming, outside of YouTube, outside of anything that I've done in the public eye. It's a very heart-to-heart conversation, I guess, and something that I don't know how I'm going to tackle, and I have no plans on where this is going to go. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be an hour, I have no idea. I'm going to invite you in onto a bit of my journey, so you can understand. As you know, I am doing the Battle Against the Blues charity stream coming up on February 22nd, and it is all raising money for Beyond Blue Australia, which raise awareness for anxiety, depression and suicide, and it's a big part of my life, and I thought, well, it's about time I did something to give back as well, knowing that I'm in their position. Growing up, I was a pretty normal kid. I didn't have a bad life. I had good parents. I was born in England. I moved here. Parents chose to move here for a better life for us kids growing up, which is I'm very thankful to them for, because it's a beautiful country. I never really got overly picked on in school. I had people that picked on me. Luckily, I had the ability to laugh at myself and didn't really take anything to heart. I had a small group of friends, very loyal friends, but after school finished, I didn't really stay in contact with many of them. I was a happy-go-lucky kid. I used to go out when I was 18 and you know, go out drinking, have some fun. If you were to ask my dad would call me the, I guess, he'd almost like the life of the party, I guess. The life of the party is what he said, I think. Don't know if that's word for word, but pretty much the life of the party. Well, it wasn't until 2012 where I lived out of home with two other people and her two kids. I was good friends with the guy and her, and he ended up losing his job. I was working at the time. He ended up losing his job, but because his work, he was from England, so because of his work made him lose his job, he had to find a job in 12 weeks, otherwise he was being deported back to England. He was a good friend of mine, and he didn't find work. I found myself out of work as well, which meant I had no money coming in. And that's when I first started feeling pretty depressed. It was at this time that I was wrestling, because for those who don't know, I was doing wrestling. I had really injured my neck in 2011, and people will probably know that if you come onto my streams. And yeah, I took only 3 months off, and I was in agony. I was being pissed about where I was wrestling. The promoters didn't want to do anything with me. I was a mid-carder at best, if you know what that is in wrestling terms. I was hurting, I was sore, I had no job. One of my best friends was being deported. I couldn't afford to stay at home at that house. It was just always very toxic. Everything around me, yeah. My parents were an hour away as well, so they weren't even close to me. And the place I lived was a shithole, which didn't help. Not only that though, but the two kids loved spending time with me, but they seemed to be wanting my attention very often, which was taxing because I didn't have any of my own time. So it was a very toxic environment, and I got so down on myself, I decided I was going to be leaving wrestling. I said, that's it, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'll go until this date. I can't keep going. I'm stuffed. And everything got the best of me, and I found myself just staying in my room from roughly 16 hours a day, maybe, sometimes more. I ate bad food, I put on weight, I stopped caring for my body, I stopped caring about anything. I didn't stay in contact with friends. There was only one friend that I stayed in contact with at that time, and she was pretty much like a sister to me. And it just became, I wasn't helping my own problems. I didn't seek any help. I didn't even know that what I had was depression at the time. It was more, I guess, about survival. But there was a period of time, it's about October 2012, where I couldn't deal with surviving anymore. And I actually tried to take my own life. And funny thing is that, and I've never told this story publicly, and I don't even know if my parents know this, so should have probably told them before I got out live with this, is that I actually was going to hang myself, and this is a bit of a shocker, I know. I had the rope in one hand and I had my phone in the other, and it was like this or this. Can I call for help, or will this be the end of me? You know, one or the other. And I didn't choose the phone. I chose the latter. I chose the end. And as you would think, well, if you chose the end, then why are you still here? My phone rang. As I was preparing for the end, my phone rang, and it was my one best friend I'm close to. And I was bawling my eyes out when this was happening, and I've never felt like that low before in my life. I think I was upset because I knew this wasn't me, but I didn't have an explanation for what it was. Even in my bawling state, I answered the phone, and that phone call literally saved my life. Literally saved my life. And that person that was on the other end of the phone, I'm not going to name names, let's just say Jay. Okay? So Jay had no idea what was even happening in the present. She just called me to see how I was going and to catch up and talk. It was that I found a tiny little bit of self-worth, that even in my desperate times, that there was someone that wanted to actually talk to me. And it didn't just flick a switch in my head. It was more so of, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I knew that night I did not want to feel something like that again. I knew that no matter what I do, I've got to fight back against this, because it's not a feeling that I want to have.